I'm Davey, and I'm awesome, and welcome to a very special Brothers Not Lovers. Now, Josh couldn't be here today to film this, but it's okay because he kinda is here. As most of you know, when my brother and I get together, we do some funny videos, and here's the thing, most of what we do is in fact scripted. Like, we come up with ideas, we write them down, he shows me his ideas, I show him my ideas, and we usually stick to it. And we're both very, business when it comes to filming these. It's just how you get. But there are times that something off script happens, or normally it's him going off script and doing something, because my brother has this addiction, it seems, to getting me and my wife to break in the middle of a scene. So as the months have gone on and I've collected a lot of bloopers, I thought I'd share them with you today and give you a little insight to them. So the first one, this blooper comes from when we were reviewing Sleepaway Camp, the first one, before we had the clips and stuff, and we were basically just acting stuff out. And we got to the scene of the guy who was killed by a swarm of bees being led into the bathroom. And I came up with the idea of my brother just kind of doing his impression of Nick Cage from The Wicker Man, going, "Not the bees! Ah!" This part.
Not the bees! Ah!
Well, my brother came up with the idea of, like, let's do it even better. Let's tie up my hands. Let's have you poking at me with a stick that just has a big bee on it. And after we did the scene, and I, of course, was watching it back to make sure it went well, I just couldn't stop laughing. It was one of those times business left and I just couldn't stop laughing. And then this happened when we tried to resume filming.
Dude!
I can't. Oh, okay.
Can't stop, it's
Go.
too painful.
I'm already recording.
Okay. Later, Angela. Yeah, it took me a few minutes to get all the giggles out of my system. The next blooper comes from the very next time him and I got together to review Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers. And this one starts as the opening bit. Like, we had written it, we had filmed it, but you guys can't see necessarily the facial expressions my brother is making. I could, and I was trying really hard not to break.
You signed this contract for a donut. You wanted that donut. You got that donut. You ate that donut. For this.
Yeah, that took like 2 or 3 takes. Then getting into the third one here was the same video, but this was back when we were still like doing it all together. Like, every time we got together, how dare you, really, movie review. And this was during the really, in the middle of me saying really about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, about just how bad it was that Grandpa Joe was faking his inability to get up, to stay in bed all day, even to the point of like he went out in the middle of the night and got his grandson a candy bar, but somehow couldn't get up and chip in a little bit. Josh kept interrupting me with stupid crap while I was trying to do my really, and then this happened. But then later that night,
He doesn't write a lot of lines for me, sorry.
says I don't give him a lot of lines, but he gets the best lines, he gets the most laughs, so screw you. But it made my wife laugh, so. And then number 4, this comes from when we were reviewing Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland. I wrote it in the bit that he was going to do this. This was when, again, we didn't have clips yet, so we were really just, like, reenacting parts of the movie. And we were reenacting the part where Angela holds the gun on the cop, Sean's dad. He says, "What are you going to kill me with?" And she goes, "A gun." And I was like, it would be funny as if, he held it for a long time, and then until I came in and was like, "Dude, why are you doing this so long?" I told him this, we had scripted it, but he didn't quite get what I was getting at, and in his opinion, I went too long with it, so this is what ended up happening.
A gun! Ever witnessed a ritual killing? Hurry up, dude!
Yeah, and then after that, I just was like, dude, you're supposed to hold it for longer than that. So we ended up getting the one that you guys see, the final cut. The fifth one comes from when him and I had finally started splitting up the videos, because the third sleepaway camp one, just in my opinion, went on way too long. It was almost 40 minutes, and we decided, like, you know, let's split them up, and then that way not only do we split them up and they're shorter so people will be more inclined to watch them, but also, you know, a lot of people really love the stuff that Josh and I do together, and I can't blame them. It's great stuff. It's gold. But Josh and I can't get together every week or every month even. He doesn't live that far away from me, but far enough to where it's not exactly like down the street. So I was like, you know, we can get together, we can film like 4 or 5 episodes, and that way I can spread them out, and it's been working out. People have been enjoying that. Well, the first one we did, Josh wanted to respond to a video that I had done about him renting 4 adult movies and The Little Mermaid 2. No, you're never living it down. I'll give you some insight to this. This was the opening bit. You guys got most of it because I wanted you to have my real reaction to an extent. But our opening bit of him about to tell his story, let me put something into context for you. My brother had been at my house for a couple of hours at that point. At that point, he'd come over. We've been talking for a couple of hours about what we're going to do, how everything's going to go. Right before we rolled the camera to start him telling his story, just me doing the introduction, he says, okay, after you introduce me, just go with it. And I said, okay, which I should have known was a red flag, because when my brother says just go with it, usually is going to end up in a blooper. He had been wearing a shirt over this shirt for at least 2-3 hours at that point, just to do this to me. So here's the full clip of the opening bit of the Joshua Responds story. Hi, I'm Davey.
Sloth! Love! Know me! You can't get away from it, dude. Go ahead and cut.
The next one comes from the same day. We're doing our video for Really, where I did a Really for National Lampoon's Vacation, and he did Really for Back to the Future. Well, he had to open it. He told me some of what he was going to say. Like, he did tell me that he was going to do this thing about Harold being dead and them having a funeral service and whatnot. And I said, okay. But he didn't tell me everything he was going to say. And like most of the time when he throws out something about Harold, it's not planned. Like, even the very first thing he threw out about Harold, where he just went, you know, poor Harold. My wife and I ended up laughing because we had no idea he was going to say that. He had no idea he was going to say that, and he's been running that joke into the ground. But it always comes out great. So here's everything that happened in that little bit.
As you all know, we have been trying very hard to get Harold back. But unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. His body was found mangled in a tub full of scrumdiddlyumptious. Just not coming home. So we're going...
Oh, cut. Okay, and then this is also from his Really, where he was doing the Really for Back to the Future. Obviously this was an accident, but I just loved how Josh had to acknowledge it. He couldn't just ignore it.
He goes back to the future, his time, and who does his dad have under his employment?
Biff.
Other than that finger that just got in my way.
Okay, and then this was again on the same day. It was during the movie review, where we were reviewing Return to Sleepaway Camp, the final in the series. And earlier he hit me or something as a joke, and my wife had to throw out that I bruise easily, and this made him laugh all day because it made me sound so pathetic. Thanks, honey. And in the middle of our review, he just threw this out.
He bruises easily. Edit that out. Edit that out.
I will. Get your hand off me.
Don't touch me.
Alright, the next one's pretty simple. My wife had just turned on the camera and he decided to yell to irritate her. He does that a lot. Irritating her, I mean.
Ah! Oh. Made noise.
I hate him. Put that in your damn video.
The next one, there's not much to it except my wife almost dropped the camera and I thought it was funny.
You should put that in your video.
Number 11 is actually, again, from when we were reviewing Return to Sleepaway Camp. We had a lot of fun that day. We were talking about the character Ricky and, well, here.
Say hello to my little Ricky.
That didn't sound right.
He's so small.
That didn't sound any better.
He's like Michael J. Fox. He never grew up.
Number 12 comes from the time after that we got together to film, and we were doing How Dare You. We were how daring ruthless people at this point, and we were listing the cast, and what I edited to make it look like is that I just said Bill Pullman's name, but right before we got to Bill Pullman, I had a brain fart, and here. What we are gonna How Dare You is the movie Ruthless People, starring Bette Midler,
Judge Reinhold,
Helen Slater,
Danny DeVito, Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman.
Yeah, he said it first. Yeah.
The next one is from the last release we did of Real Genius and the Breakfast Club. We had an opening bit that we were kind of paying homage to an old episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but interjecting Mean Girls into it. The line that we had come up with was that, and this is actually very true, after Lacey Chabert left Family Guy, Meg was now being voiced by Mila Kunis. That's when they actually really started ripping on Meg in the show Family Guy. And Josh couldn't get the line out, and, well...
Meg never got respect being...
Well, that's going to bloopers.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes he messes up too. And then in this one, while we were still doing that really, it was my turn to do a really. I was doing the Breakfast Club, and Josh loves to go off script. He loves to just come up with something and start getting weird and zany. That's him, and I wouldn't change that about him because it sometimes leads to some really, really good bits. And in this case, he not only went off topic and started being all weird, he had to throw out another Harold thing that I was not prepared for. And in this movie, at lunchtime, all the kids go to lunch. I'm right here, idiot.
No, it's fine. Right here. God. Just do your stupid really. Just don't give me back my old hair. Harold. I can't ever go on.
At some point in that really, I had shown an old picture where author Ken Lindsay and I, yes, author of the Gavin English series and the River Ruins, available at kenlindsaybooks.com, had convinced Josh to dye his bangs blonde. And he actually thought it looked good when he was a kid. Now he realizes that we were messing with him, because we didn't actually think he would do it. And then when he did it, it was just so funny. But he threw out the Harold thing later, like we just saw in the last blooper. Well, in this time, I decided to throw out that, we should redo his hair like that, and even his mustache, and Harold would want that. And I think this time I was trying to get him to break, but I didn't. It actually just led to all this. Because you're contemplating doing it, aren't you? Harold would watch that.
Harold would definitely want that.
Harold doesn't want anything anymore. He's dead.
So there you have it. Don't play in the glassy.
Sorry. That got real dark real fast.
Well, that also reminded me of Law-Abiding Citizen.
That's exactly what it was from.
Yeah.
That's what it was from.
And then the final blooper I have is actually from our last movie review of The Monster Squad. I left part of this in there where he out of nowhere decided to ad-lib and say, "You make me feel this big," and I was, of course, him and I know a lot about ad-libbing and improv. We've been doing it since, God, I can't even remember when him and I started doing that stuff. Like, no joke, when him and I were teenagers and Whose Line Is It Anyway it just came out, we'd get our friends together and put on little Whose Line Is It Anyway performances for like our parents and stuff. We didn't care. We loved it. So we've been doing it a long time, and a lot of times when he ad-libs something, I'll just kind of go with it. And in this case he did. He said, "You make me feel this big," and I said, "You're way bigger than that." Obviously a fat joke, which I can make because I too am fat. And it didn't get him to break. It got my wife to break, who is actually the easiest person to get to break while we're filming stuff. Here. Genius.
Make me feel this big sometimes, dude.
Don't worry, you're way bigger than that.
Stop making her laugh.
Seriously, we need a professional.
Did she just snort?
That's what she does when she's trying to hold it in. So there you have it. There's the bloopers so far since my brother has joined me and we've been doing our Brothers Not Lovers videos. I know there was 2 videos before the Sleepaway Camp one, and I don't have any bloopers from them. I didn't think then to keep them. I wish I did, but you know, I did keep all these, and I'm gonna keep some in the future, and maybe we'll have more bloopers videos. What am I talking about? Maybe we're definitely gonna have more bloopers videos because Josh is still gonna throw out random crap that's gonna get me to break, and I'm gonna occasionally throw out something that will get him to break, and well, my wife films it when Josh and I get together, and she breaks all the time. So hope you guys enjoyed this. If you enjoyed these bloopers, hit like, hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell us what you think of these bloopers. Love you guys.
You put your pound down and thrust your pelvis. Thrust your pelvis. Thrust your pelvis.